This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
That deer smelled that sweet freedom. Want to see his children again. My stepdad, he had other plans. See, he beat that deer to the road because he wanted it more. He got down on one knee. My stepdad unloaded the fire of Brad Pitt in the war movie on him. 6th of December, 2020. It's the 217 Recovery Podcast. My name is Corey Winfield. Joining me,
Marney Liston.
What up? Yeah, so that happened. Been getting a lot of feedback about my deer hunting story.
I bet.
Which was the November 15th episode. Ron, who you know, called me and he's like, I had to stop it and call you because this is absolutely hilarious. And I told him, I was like, I wasn't really trying to be hilarious. I was just trying to tell a story. And I thought I did a pretty good job at it. And that's exactly how it happened. Maybe some of the accents were a little bit different.
Right.
But in my mind, that's how it went down. So I told him that. And Ron does a podcast as well called Radio Days. And he interviews people in radio, which he has me set up for, I think, first week or second week of January, which will be fun. And Ron wants to talk about the story that we've had. You know, we met in Benton Harbor, and the first time I met him, he's like, who's this punk kid, you know, coming in from the rock studio? Because Ron was a news guy, and they were serious. And Ron was a very serious news guy. I mean, like actually that covered the news, didn't just get it off of the internet and read a story from the Associated Press. Like, he went out and like interviewed people in the community. Like, Ron was a news guy for real. Mm-hmm. And I saw this new guy. I'm like, all right, who's this dude? So I walk in and I open his door. They had like a sliding glass door almost. Not almost, it was in the newsroom. So I slid it open and I was like, hey man, Gifford, who was our boss at the time. So he called and wanted me to check up on you and want me to ask you if you could try not to suck. And he's like, and I just shut the door and walked away. And he's like, man, that was the most D-head thing anyone has ever done to me, you know? And he's like, who are you? You some kid? You know, just coming to tell me to try to suck? He's like, oh, it pissed me off. And he got to know me. And, you know, I obviously told him I was joking, but we became really good friends, Ron and I. And Ron has seen the transition of me at pretty much my worst. Mm-hmm. And he said he was scared for me. You know, he didn't really know what to do, but he was afraid.
Yeah.
You know, he saw the path I was going down and just thought, man, like, it's bad. I moved around not moved around, I didn't like move all over, but went from job to job. And when I ended up in Fort Smith, Ron was kind of in between jobs, and a guy at the country station had just quit. And I know Ron had did country music in Benton Harbor. So I was like, hey, man, I'm going to push for you to get this job. Because I was in a place that I did not know. It wasn't like Dallas. It was Fort Smith, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't so sure about it when I first arrived. And I pushed for Ron, and he pretty much got the job. And from there, he said he's going to shoot me in the leg one day because I got him the job there. And it was interesting, the things that we've seen there and the things that happen in Fort Smith, Arkansas. It's silly. And the craziest things you see and you think that you're not going to top that. Like, there's no way. And then the next week there's another story in the paper and you're like, are you kidding me? Like, how can we, nothing, Stephen King can't write this stuff. Like, nobody can write this stuff. Like, you can't. And it's just, boom, happening there like every week. And it's just the craziest city I've ever lived in. But Ron would come to the studio, and he was one of the first to just like, oh my gosh, man, like, your studio smells like a brewery in here. Mm-hmm. You know, and I was like, well, Ron, I'm not drinking. You know, he's like, I'm not saying you're drinking. It's like, clearly you're not drinking, but it's coming out of your pores, man. And later I learned that it does that because there's no way for your body to get rid of it. Like, I had so much alcohol in me, my kidney, because they weren't processing it. My liver wasn't processing it. So like, it was trying to get out.
Yeah. And
it goes out your pores. I just thought, you know, had had a good night last night, and one thing I don't miss is that hot, like my skin was always like hot. Mm-hmm. And that was probably the alcohol trying to come out. But I remember that feeling of just like my skin and my face just being like just hot.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, because that's the thing. I remember when there were times when literally all I was doing was consuming alcohol. I mean, not really food, but of any sort of real amount. And only thing I would use for other than the alcohol was what I mixed it with. And so essentially our bodies, when we do that, are running off of alcohol. It's metabolizing only alcohol. It's using only alcohol and whatever calorie intake that is. But all the rest is essentially poison. So our body is running off poison. Mm-hmm. And so that is essentially why after a while, it comes out your pores because your sweat is like everything is alcohol, trying to expel that. It just comes out from yuck. Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I don't miss about it.
No.
I had to kind of go down memory lane today. I'm so thankful that we've teamed up with Families Against Narcotics. Mm-hmm. And their Hope Not Handcuffs program, they call us and we, help out in any way we can. But sometimes we'll take people to treatment for them. And I did that and was talking with the guy. We had passed a sign. And we were talking, I was listening to him talk about, things. And I told him, my drug of choice was alcohol. I would pretty much done everything, but alcohol was my thing. That's what my brain craved. And we passed a sign and it was like, celebrate something, and I kind of saw it but didn't, and a couple of guys with some glasses, like cheersing each other, like cheers, Mm-hmm. And he's like, what do you do when that happens? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, when you pass signs like that, like doesn't that make you like want to drink? And it's like, no, not really. And he's like, man, I couldn't imagine passing a sign like that, like with some needles or something, like
mm-hmm.
Hey, congrats, like. He's like, that must bother you. And I'm like, no, it really doesn't, I'm sure it probably does some people. Mm-hmm. Everybody's different. For me, it's more the feeling, the emotions that get me to want to drink. Like, I can watch a movie and people drink. Okay. Doesn't really do much.
It's so common. I'm numb to it all. It's kind of just, I know it's out there. I know it's going to be, I know it's glorified. I know it's, celebrated and, made it sexy. Drinking is sexy or whatever. And they make it a normal thing and references to it and whatever. So I've just become, it's just numb to it.
When we go to the store, it's right in our face,
yeah.
And some people, and I've heard people say, man, I just see a beer and I want a beer, but for me, I'm not like that. I can see a beer and go, all right.
Yeah.
That tastes like crap. But if I'm alone and something crosses my mind or I start feeling some kind of way, that's my trigger. That's what I can, I remember doing that, or if I'm all of a sudden doing something that I used to do a lot when I was drunk, and maybe that's why I don't watch a lot of TV. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But it feels like, I wasted so much time, just wasted time, wasted my life sitting on a couch, drinking, watching the dumbest TV shows you didn't even imagine. Mm-hmm. Lizard Lick Towing, Dog the Bounty Hunter, like just plops right down, bloop. Just wasting life. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I try not to do those things, and it's not like I don't purposely try not to do it. It's just, I don't know.
Right.
I choose to do other things. It just comes natural now. But yeah, if I'm feeling some kind of way though, like the emotions and the feelings are what kind of trip me up. Now, if I watch somebody smoke a cigarette in a movie or something, that still gets me. Mm-hmm. Where I'm like, oh man, I start craving one. I'm like, man, I could really use a cigarette right now.
Really?
Yeah. But seeing the drink thing, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me like that. But I've heard that people with opiate, the substance use disorder who have opiates, as their drug of choice. Mm-hmm. I heard them though, it's seeing it really like brings it out like right to the core, and I just hope that, somebody's listening right now and they're just like, oh man, just hearing about this is driving me nuts. Well, just remember that it's easier to not start again than it is to stop again.
Yeah.
And if you're going through a moment, process it, feel it, but know in the back of your mind that that's not the life you want.
Right.
It's just not. And it's hell. It's pain. Why would you do that to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
You know, go slam your hand in the door if that's what if you really want pain.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be more instant. But anyway, so yeah, how are you today, Marney?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a productive day. It was good. I mean, Christmas is around the corner. You know, we got the wedding coming up just days away. And so it's just lots of, preparation stuff and, keeping in contact with the few family members that are going to be present for the occasion. That's always fun, reconnecting. And I've been in touch with my siblings. I have older brother, Dorian, and he's in California. And then his family, and then my sister, she's in Kyrgyzstan. She's overseas, but I got 2 nephews there. And then my sister, Alexandria, she lives in Pacifica, California as well. So I've been in contact with all of them and just told them that they'll be there in spirit. And they had a bunch of kind words to say and congratulations and all that good stuff. So
nice.
It's nice because all 3 of them in different capacities have been affected by me and my drinking at some point in my life. Some, I think, was more hurtful to them. Like my brother, he was older than me, and so he was kind of off on his own. And my drinking didn't really get bad until I was in college. And so, him being older than me, he was kind of already off on his own. But it still made like the visits that we did have at the ages of being young adults. And after that, very difficult, especially when Dorian started his own family. And I remember specifically one occasion where he was like, I don't want you to, be like present with my baby if you're going to be intoxicated, like straight up, just like shut me down. And it was the most raw truth, hurtful truth, and right to my face, and it was no ifs, ands, or up, about it. It was just, this is how it's going to have to be. And even then, I was just like, well, it's not my kid. And I mean, the way our brains work is just really, it's sad. And, reflecting on things like that and memories like that, that's pain that I had to go through, things that I had to, it's the struggle of the disease. And so when people tell me stories like that, I don't look at them like, yeah, what the bleep were you thinking? Like, why didn't you change? Because I get it. Because, it's just, I wasn't ready. And you gotta find that time when you're willing to make the decision to change your life. And that wasn't a time for me. I had to do it for myself, not because of, circumstances or requests or, threats. So
it's addiction.
It's addiction.
Facing addiction head on is the battle. And you're right. You have to be ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time in your life, you probably haven't lost enough. You just thought, oh, well, that's the way it's going to be. Then fine. I guess I won't be around. They don't want me. Fine. That's who I am. Who knows what you were thinking, but
I don't even know.
But it wasn't, you know what? Maybe I'm heading down the wrong path here, and maybe if somebody would have said it right to you, I don't know. Like, that probably wouldn't have worked either. I'm sure people had said stuff right to you. Like,
yeah. Oh, I had moments of clarity. I did. I had brief moments of clarity. Sometimes months of clarity, So for those of you out there that, you feel like that that's just who you are and that things are never going to change. It's not going to be, it will, it can. And it does. Just have to be willing and wait for that, time and snatch it, pick it up and pray, do whatever you got to do.
It's like if you're going to run a race, like you're running